A plethora of different names for what's going on today, at this time, but whatever your belief system is, I want to honor that. Happy Kwanzaa, everything, because we're all one, and we're all, whether it's Merry Christmas or Hanukkah or Yuletides or Kwanzaa, it doesn't matter because we are all one. We're all connecting, and so I want to say thank you, because this is a hectic time, and people are shopping, people are crazy. I went out last night. Wow. I just was like, this is not. I just started standing in the corner. And at one point, I was just like, it's overwhelming because so many people are wanting to buy gifts and they're wanting to give to their loved ones, but I could feel their stress and their tension, spending money that they didn't have. And so I want to just invite you, if you're at a place where you don't have a lot of lucrative financial green stuff, make something for someone. There's nothing more that will touch someone if you make them something. And I'll give you an example. John made Scout and I handmade this, and it was one of the most amazing gifts I think I have received. And it's this card that he made. He handmade this. Everything on this he handmade, he cut, put it all together. Isn't that beautiful? Didn't really cost him a lot of money, but what it did for me is it showed me that he loves us and he cares for us. It's kind of like, how many of you are parents or you have kids in your life that you love? You know, with nieces, nephews, whatever. When they give you something they made with their little hands, isn't it just something that touches your heart? You're like, I want to keep that. So I always say, if you're at a place, don't get discouraged and don't get stressed out and don't be like, well, I don't have the money. Bake cookies. Make handmade cards. Just something that shows that you care, because this isn't the season about buying. It's not the season about buying. This is a season about love. It's a season about birth and rebirth. It's a season of a lot of different meanings. But one thing that has happened that saddens me is it has been commercialized to the point people are spending money that they don't have, and suicide rates go up threefold during this time. So I just ask that we each hold space for people that may be struggling because they've lost loved ones. They've lost people that they care about. They've had a loss themselves in their heart space, either a relationship that didn't work out or a parent that passed, and it's difficult. This is the first year that my brother is gone. So October 21st was when he passed. And so I'm looking at my parents and I'm seeing a lot of the turmoil that they're having to deal with, knowing that one of their children is no longer with them. And there's a lot of people even within their midst that have lost children. And it's a difficult time of year. So I just ask that as much joy that's out there, if we can just raise that joy up and lift people up, and no matter what you do, be kind and gentle with your words and with yourself during this time. So I want you to open your palms and plant your feet. And we're going to begin with a meditation. And as you breathe, I want you to be mindful. Feel how it feels to breathe in the breath of life. The breath from Mother Earth that she's sharing with you. What the trees and the ferns and the foliage have given to us so freely. And as we breathe in fully and completely. So many of us hold our breath and breathe in shallow form. And with each and every exhalation, relax into this space of here and now at this moment. And as you breathe, and as you allow that breath to fill you up, feel the love that the Creator has for you. Feel the abundance of joy and peace that the Great Spirit is sending to you every day, all day. There's no lack or scarcity of that. Breathe it in and feel it as it feeds your spirit, as it feeds your physical body. And with each and every exhalation, quiet the thoughts from the giver of life and giver of breath, we come to you today in a very good way, with open hearts. And as we breathe the breath of life, we breathe into the heart space. We open our chest and we roll our shoulders back to let you know we are showing up here in a good way. We allow the love that you have for us, Great Spirit, to flow through us and to fill us up. And as we talk today and share with each other about living authentically, we ask that you'll give us the messages that each one of us need, Great Spirit. Speak to our heart and our soul. Let us take what resonates with us, to absorb it, and to share it. For there are so many people out there that are hurting and that are hungry, that are stressed and that are sad. And we lift them up. We lift the ones up that couldn't be here today through illness or sickness or physical challenges. We lift them to you, Great Spirit, for healing. And we send that healing to them. For the people that have had surgeries, we send them quick recovery. And all seen and unseen injuries come into balance. Tinkashalo Wakatonka, Mahio. We call in the four directions, the east where the eagle flies and the great awakening begins. Let us awaken to who we are. Let the eagle give us the vision to see, not through our physical eyes, but through our spiritual eyes, to see ourselves through your eyes, Creator. That you love us and want more for us than we could ever desire. We ask for the direction of the south, where the fire burns that dwells within us, the spark of the kingdom of God that lies within. Let it burn. Let it overflow from us in a blaze so that others' light may shine. Let us learn to live in community as the wolf does. We ask for the direction of the west, where our ancestors lay their physical bodies down, and the bear brings us courage and strength. Let the waters that are flowing through the earth and through us be healed. To the north, where the great white buffalo brings us the wisdom to stand. For all those that have no voice, let us raise our voices in unison, that we may speak for Mother Earth, that we may give back to her, this great mother that gives us sustenance. Let us speak for all the animals that cannot speak for themselves, and let us speak for the two-leggeds that have no voice. We open to receive as we ask in the name of all that is, so it shall be. Amen. Oh. Ho! Amen. We get a treat today. The band is going to give us a chant why the basket is passed. And it's something they have worked on, and it's beautiful. So I ask that, number one, the first thing that I ask is, if you're financially hurting, please do not place in the basket. This is not here to cause hardship for you. We're here to lift you up. Let the basket pass and give it love. If you do have the green flow and you can donate, then donate what is in your heart space. And do it in love. So I get the opportunity to listen as well while this happens. Enjoy it. always do, I want to take a moment and I want to ask the Great Spirit, can you bring the basket for me? If I can have everybody just focus with love and intention. Great Spirit, we know that these times can be challenging for all of us. And we hold together like a bundle of twigs that cannot be broken. And we will not let one go alone. We will stand firm with each other in gratitude and in love. We're so grateful for all of the donations that come in. For every penny makes a difference. We're grateful to be here in community with each other, to be growing this community in a good way, to be standing, seeking and searching for spirituality, seeking and searching for the kingdom that lies within us. We ask that every hand that gave, it be multiplied thousands-fold and returned to them. And for the ones, Great Spirit, that could not give, we ask for abundance and blessings and prosperity to be given. Creator, we ask and give thanks for all of this, and humbleness and gratitude and in love. We ask this abundance and this blessing on each one, and each one of their family members, and each one of their loved ones. As we ask in the name of all that is, so it shall be. Amen. Aho! Aho. So, how many of you truly live authentically? Fully, 100%, you never alter, no matter what your position is, whether you're at your parents' house or whether you're at your house of worship, or whether your parents are in or your loved ones are in, or whether you are in the presence of a pastor or a priest, you live fully 100% authentically. Nobody? I'm so grateful that you guys are so honest. I was waiting to look out and everybody be going. Because we all alter our behavior, don't we? Our parents come in, and I'll give you an example. My dad he's disfellowshipped, but his belief system is Jehovah's Witness. So I don't speak certain things when I'm around him. I don't cast my pearl in front of swine, so to speak, because I know he's not going to agree. So I don't say anything. And I may even bite my tongue and not say something that I feel like I really should say, but I don't, because I'm trying to be respectful. But every time we do that, we rob something from ourselves. We rob a lot from ourselves, actually. The studies that are done on living a lie, because that's what we do. When we don't stand up for what we know we should stand up for, and we don't stand up for ourselves, and we don't use our voice in a good way, then we're not living authentically. And does that mean, I want to be very careful and tread lightly when I say this. We each have our belief system. And some of us may be Christian, some of us may be Jewish, some of us may be Wiccan, some of us may be Muslim. There's so many different belief systems out there. The one thing that I want us to do is always be respectful of everybody's belief system. And that's why we use words that are ambiguous, like Creator, Great Spirit, because there's many names for this source, whatever this source is. So I'm not saying go out and be someone who's shoving your belief system down somebody's throat. We don't want to do that. It's offensive. I'll give you an example. I was somewhere and my brother had just passed, and there was a hawk that was on the tombstone right on his grave when I showed up, and I said, wow, look, there he is. Let me know. Isn't that beautiful? And the person that was with me said, that's not Brandon. Brandon's nowhere around. He's dead. He's in the ground. He knows nothing. And I just thought, well, that's your belief system. And I understand your belief system. But this is my belief system. And so I want us to be aware that the words that we use have a lot of power. And they have most power with ourselves. Because it's the vibration. When you speak, your vocal cords vibrate, right? And we've been studying vibration. We've been studying frequency. So whatever you're speaking through your vocal cords that are vibrating, it's affecting every cell of your being. And when you don't speak and you know you should, it is affecting every cell of your being. Every cell. And this goes even for the little ones. When they want to say something, but they're worried about offending someone or hurting someone's feelings, we can always speak who we are in a good way. Martin Luther King Jr., what did he do? One man, one voice, thousands of voices joined that one voice, and what happened? History changed. History changed. One man, one voice. And so if you get nothing from this today, besides using your voice and working very hard to be authentic to yourself, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I'll give you an example. There was a study that came across that just blew my mind. Did you know over 97% of people lie at least 3 times in the first 5 minutes that they meet someone? That's a lot of lying. But we've gotten so used to it, haven't we? And it starts when we're little, because our parents say, oh, don't say that, that's not nice. Instead of, well, you can say it, but say it like this, because then you're getting your point across and you're being nice. Does that make sense? But it starts when we're little, and we start being told what to say and what not to say, what's good or what's bad. And I invite you today to not label yourself and not label your thoughts, and don't sit here and think, so-and-so should be here today. They really need to hear this. I want you to see what resonates in your heart. What do you feel? Because if it doesn't resonate with you, remember, I never tell you what to believe. I just ask you to question everything. Everything in your life, question. And that's where, to learn how to live authentically, one of the things that I want you to contemplate while we're going through this is, if you could fill in the blank. If you really knew me, you would know. And then think of the deepest, darkest thing that you keep hidden from everybody. It may be thoughts that you have. I remember I used to think all the time, people wouldn't really like me if they knew what my thoughts were. Because when I was younger, I was told constantly not to say certain things, constantly. Not to say, not to say. So think about that as we're going through this. If you could fill in the blank, what would that blank be? Tony Robbins does this when he's doing his leadership trainings. He does, if you really knew me, you would know. And then fill in that blank. And be thinking about that as we go through this. Because one of the things of becoming, living authentically really, is self-awareness. How can we live authentically if we don't know who we are? How can we live authentically? I mean, some of us are still very young. I remember being very young and always trying to please my father. Everything was to please my father. I got so many degrees. Why? Please my father. Okay? Please my father. Everything was to please my dad. Until one day I woke up and I went, he's really happy. And I'm really not. So something has to change, right? So I had to then start picking apart. And this is what we have to do. Because what happens is we start trying to please our parents. And then we go from pleasing our parents to we start trying to please our teachers. Then we're trying to please our parents and our teachers. Then we're trying to please our parents and our teachers and our pastors. Then we're trying to please our parents, our teachers, our pastors, our neighbors. Then we're trying to please our... And you get lost, don't you? You lose who you are. And then one day you wake up and you go, wait, who am I really? Do I really like to do that? Or did I do that because the person I was with really liked me to do that? Do I really believe that? Or did I adopt it because my parents, my grandparents, and their parents all are fill in the blank, whatever you want to say. And so we get lost in there. So how can we start to live authentically is, number one, we have to question. We have to question, do we know who we are? Do we know really what we like? Not what my husband likes, not what my wife likes, not what my girlfriend likes, not what my boyfriend likes, not what my dad likes, not what my mom likes. Not what my neighbors think. Not what my pastor thinks. What makes you happy? What brings you joy? What makes your heart soar on fire with passion and desire, and don't think about anybody else besides you? So self-awareness is huge, isn't it? How many of you have met someone and they're trying really hard to be something, but they're not? How many of you have been there where you tried really hard to be someone you just weren't? How happy were you when you were trying to do that? Because you were living a lie. You were not living for yourself. You were living for someone else. So today, because it's that day when you're getting ready to embark on what they call the new year. How many of you have already started contemplating what your New Year's resolutions are going to be? Are they going to be the same as last year? I'm going to lose this much weight, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to take care of my health better. So the one thing that I want to ask you is, on your New Year's resolution, can you just add your spiritual health and authenticity? Because you will expand your lifespan, number one, and you will live in more pure joy and love. And it won't matter what's going on around you. It won't. Sam, I have to tell you, Sam, this past weekend, we were sitting and we were watching Big Hero at the movie theater. And the previews hadn't quite started, and she's sitting there on her phone, and I'm sitting next to her. And she looks at me and she goes, "Why are you smiling?" And I said, "I'm just happy." She's like, "Nothing's on. Why are you? You've got a grin from ear to ear." And it was just an immense state of bliss and joy that washed over me. I was so grateful to be sitting in a movie theater with my daughter, to be able to go to the movies, number one, and number two, to have family time. And not necessarily in that way. But I was just overwhelmed with joy. Gratitude and thankfulness. Such thankfulness. And she couldn't figure out why I was just smiling. She thought it was the strangest thing she'd seen. How many of you have those states of joy? You may be riding along in your car and your song comes on and you just have this amazing amount of joy. You're singing and you don't care if the car next to you is watching. You don't mind because you're filled with such bliss and such joy. If you live in that state, that's a vibration. And guess what happens? More joy comes to you. More peace comes to you. More love comes to you. More compassion comes to you. More authenticity comes to you because you're being authentic. It doesn't matter to anyone else if you're not being authentic. It matters greatly to you if you're being authentic. Because your cells actually respond. Think of a lie detector test. How do they know you're lying? What happens?
The biofeedback.
Heart rate goes up. Blood pressure increases.
Breathing rate.
Breathing rate increases. So it's not measuring that you're lying, love. It's measuring that your body is telling them that you're lying. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Isn't that amazing? How many of you know when somebody's lying to you? You just know. They tell a lie and you're like,
That's one thing psychic development can help people.
Yeah, that is one thing that psychic development will help you, is to be able to discriminate when somebody's telling you less than the truth. Okay? I've point blank told people that.
You're lying.
I'm like, you're lying. And they're like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "Yes, you are." And they're like, "How do you know?" And I'm like, "Because my solar plexus vibrated when you said that." Which means that you're being dishonest in some way. Now, it could be a little white lie. So I'm going to ask you over the next couple of weeks, as you're thinking about your New Year's resolutions, to do me a favor and do your dead level best not to lie. Do your best to be as authentic. Now, you can leave out things. That's not a lie. That's not a lie if you just leave it, if you don't respond. Or I have girlfriends that you can tell them, like when they say, "Does this dress make me look fat?" That you just go, "If I tell her yes, she's going to kill me." So you say something like, "It really brings out your eyes." You're not lying. It really does bring out their eyes. But do you understand? Try very, very strongly to start bringing that into your consciousness. Do you want to know why? When you bring something into your conscious awareness, it starts to change. But only when you bring it into your conscious awareness. If you keep walking around and saying, I am this, 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 whatever this is, right? And it's not true. It will not change until you bring it into your conscious awareness and you ask, am I that? Do I believe that? Does that make a difference? Do I understand that? Is that true for me? It doesn't matter if it's true for anybody else, does it? Because that's theirs. It matters for you. So if you're trying to seek out authenticity, what is the definition of authenticity? When you look, this is by 2 psychologists, and they say being authentic is the unimpeded operation of one's true or core self, one's true or core self in one's daily enterprise.
I've done a lot of soul searching on this lately. And I mean, in the Native American, we always say that there's 2 wolves within us. And so one wolf comes from anger and jealousy and rage. And he's willing to respond to anybody's question or give his comments at any time. And then there's a second wolf inside us that comes from love and joy and happiness. And so when I think that this being authentic, I think that we have this conditioned self that is all of our cultural, all of our behaviors that we adapt to live in culture. And that is that evil wolf that is really quick. We know what we want to say. We know how we want to respond. And a lot of times it just takes a second. You have to give yourself that second to say, well, what is really in my heart? Not that I responded the way I felt, but what was in my heart? What did I really want to say? When somebody cut you off on the road, we know what we want to say. Oh, that damn driver. But in our heart, we might want to say, I wonder what their problem is today that has them driving like that, or searching for what we care about in life. So I think a lot of people get authenticity confused with that immediate response, and they don't listen to that inner heart and what really comes from our heart with love and care and compassion. And I would invite everybody to listen to the inner heart instead of listening to the flesh.
I've got to so agree
The
with
pain
that.
body.
I mean, in the mornings when I pray, I ask God to show me heaven's perspective or God's eye on people's thing, not my view or not my perspective, but God's perspective, and to see things through God's eyes. And absolutely, I mean, if anyone was 100% authentic, if I was 100% authentic, I'd be walking around naked, because that's how I, think
Me
about
too.
it.
I'd be right there with you.
Right? You see what I'm saying? But you have to conform a little bit to society because of grace and love and humility towards one another, right? So it's a hard balance to find.
It is
but-
a difficult balance to find.
Yeah.
It really is. And if you think about it, like you say, heaven's perspective, show me a different perspective. Our immediate reaction is typically because we've had trauma or anger, something unresolved within us. How many times has somebody pulled out in front of you, they knew it was an accident. They were like they saw you and went, sorry. And you still were like, that had nothing to do with that person. You realize that, right?
Yeah, you have no idea what they went through or what they're going through right now.
Your reaction was because you had a pain body, a trauma of some sort that you haven't had resolved within your energetic components. And this is a prime time to act out. It's the black wolf and the white wolf. So grandmother always used to say, because I'd say, well, because when you're told this and you're that age, you automatically think, I don't want to be the black wolf. So how can I not be the black wolf? And grandmother kept saying, well, which one are you feeding? Which one are you giving attention to? Are you allowing anger and hatred and rage and judgment? Fear. Judgment is huge. And this is why a lot of us live inauthentically, is because we've judged so many other people that we judge ourselves when we judge them. So if I see someone that's doing something, I say, I would never do that. I just love it because the Creator's like, really? And guess what? Everything I've ever said I would never do, I did. Because the Creator showed me, hey, you haven't walked in that person's shoes. You don't know what they've been through. You may do the exact same thing, or maybe even worse. So to live authentically, we've got to figure out who we are truly and what we like. And we have to, we get into this conundrum, and it's because we're told if we focus on ourselves, we're selfish. But if the kingdom of God is where?
Within us.
Within. And we're told to seek, right? To search for this kingdom. But then we're told we can't seek inside because you're being selfish. Are we going to find?
No.
No. It'd be like going to a soccer game and thinking you're going to watch football. It's not going to happen. You're at the wrong stadium. So if you're seeking and you're searching for who you are, how many of you have heard to know thyself is to know God?
Mhm.
Every culture in this world that has existed since the beginning of time has seeked out the question of to know thyself. Every single one. Hindu, Buddhist, does not matter. I know because I did the research. And I was like, it's been a theme throughout history to know thyself. So if we look at the Quran is the book that Muslims use. It's their holy book. The Quran here, up here, just to let you know, that's their writing, just to let you know what it looks like. But this says, now verily it is we, just like the Bible says, let us make them in our image. It is we who have created man, and we know what his innermost self whispers within him. For we are closer to him than his neck vein. Now think about that. Thank you. Is that air or hot? Because if it's heat, I'm going to explode. It's heat. Are you cold? Who's cold? Who's hot? Are you comfortable? Okay. All right. So, closer than his neck vein. So closer than his jugular. The Creator is closer than your jugular to you. Now that brings a lot of perspective, doesn't it? When you start thinking, wow, wait a minute. It goes on to say, indeed he succeeds who purifies his own self. Whosoever knows himself knows his Lord. Again, the kingdom of God is when? Where? Within. Isn't this saying the same thing? Different words. Different words, same thing, same concept. Know thyself. Because you can't seek for that spark of the kingdom of God that's within you if you don't know who you are. Finding you and knowing you is therefore knowing God. The seek state, oh man, you have a spiritual spark. Know thyself. And it goes on to say in yoga, is the journey of the self through the self and to the self. It's about unifying, unity, right? In Luke, my favorite scripture, I know you guys are going to get tired of me saying this, but do you know if you do this, if you find this, you have arrived. This is why I say it every single, the kingdom of God is within you. It's inside of you. It's not outside. It's not what everybody else is telling you it is. It is in you. You have all of the answers. You just need to learn how to listen and to open. And part of that listening and being open is being authentic. The Bhagavad Gita says, indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all being, God of gods, Lord of the universe. Didn't the Bible just say the kingdom of God is within us? The Bhagavad Gita is saying the same thing, just different words. And it goes on to say, this is true knowledge, to seek the self as the true end of wisdom always. To seek anything else is ignorance. So if you look at all these different spiritual books, and they're all talking about knowing thyself, right? Know thyself. Do you know yourself? All of yourself. Even the parts that you don't want to know. The shadow parts. the parts that, when things get a little dicey, can come out, and we don't want to recognize those, so we hide those. We shove those in dark corners of ourselves because we don't want to look at our shadow self. But our shadow self is ourself. So we have to look. We have to see that part of us to be able to integrate it. So if you look at all of these different spiritual books that say the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, the Kabbalah, the Torah, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. What happens if you are living a lie? Increase in stress. How many of you have stress in your life? We all have stress. How many of you would like less stress? Live authentically. How about anxiety? People are coming in all the time anxious, they can't sleep. Increases in blood pressure, increases in heart rate, increases in cortisol, and that causes cognitive dissonance. Now, cortisol, just to let you know, is the hormone that's pumped out when you're under stress, and it makes things like our blood pressure go up. It makes things like our thyroid work over time. It makes us carry truncal fat, which is awesome. Beautiful, love it. But that's increasing cortisol. So if you're living a lie and you're being inauthentic, how many of you want to sign up for all that? None of us, right? None of us want that. We want to live in harmony and in love and in peace and in compassion. So, the University of California did a study. There are several studies. And this study actually showed that when it comes down to it, the self acts as a buffer against threatening events. And what it finds is that those people that have good self-resources and affirmations, they can guard against psychological reactions of stressful events. But how many of us, okay, I'm just going to ask a question. You guys don't have to raise your hand. Do you do positive daily affirmations every day? Now, if you do positive affirmations every day, do you have all the self-resources you need? Because if either one of those is lacking, then you have a problem and you end up being under psychological stress. Now, the American Psychology Association states, emotion regulation plays a central role in mental health and illness. What they did is they brought these women in and they showed them these movies, negative, positive, and neutral. And they said, but you're not allowed to express yourself. You're not allowed to show expression. Like, when you're watching a movie, you're like, whoa! Or, that doesn't make any sense. You're not allowed to express yourself at all. And what they found is that the people that couldn't show any expression, especially when it came to negative, ended up having higher reports of being sad. Psychological suppression had no effect on the neutral films, but clear effects in both negative and positive films. We suggest several ways emotional inhibition may influence psychological functioning. So if you're told you can't express yourself, so when you live authentically, if you're being inauthentic, are you expressing yourself? If you're being inauthentic, are you expressing yourself?
Your brain's not working right either.
Nope. Are you basically telling a lie? Your cortisol levels are going up, your stress levels are going up, your heart rate's increasing, your blood pressure's increasing. Well, it goes on. Here's another study. University of Notre Dame actually did a study, and what they found was that when people told more lies, their health went down, and when they told the truth, it improved. Fewer minor lies a week translated to 4 fewer mental health complaints and 3 fewer physical complaints. How many of you have physical complaints? How many of you have stress? So living authentically is going to help. It goes on to say that that when you lie, this is how lying affects the health. It releases stress hormones, increases heart rate and blood pressure. Stress reduces your body's number of infection-fighting white blood cells, and over the years could contribute to lower back pain, tension headaches, a rapid heart rate, menstrual problems, and even infertility. From lying. So when you say, oh, lying doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt anybody else. But it sure does hurt you. So when you live inauthentically and you're not speaking your truth, you're hurting yourself. How are you supposed to find a place where you can quiet your mind and connect with the Creator if you're not being authentic? It's very hard if your vibration, when we're living inauthentically, we're vibrating at a denser rate. Because when we're living authentically, what do we have? We have more joy in our life, don't we? We have more happiness in our life. That's a higher vibration.
I have a question.
I have maybe an answer.
I hope so. Let's just imagine some of the CEOs of some of the very wealthiest corporations that we know are exactly operating on the up and up, on the ethical side of things. And they lie and they cheat and they steal and they make money, hand over fist, and they sleep like babies.
How do you know?
I don't know. I'm just wondering.
Let me tell you, I've never met a CEO of an international company that sleeps well.
Good. Good. That makes me feel better.
And I've met a lot, but I've never met one that says they sleep well. I've met them, they say they're stressed out. They typically are eating aspirin and ibuprofen like it's candy. They're eating antacids. You can walk in and they typically have it in the right side of their desk. They're just chewing on it. And here they think that they can get somewhere and be all better, but through the pursuit of being inauthentic and telling less than the truth, you're affecting your cellular function. You're affecting everything in your body. Everything in your body. So how can we live more authentically? There are 12 steps to living more authentically. The first step is do you. You do you. I am giving you permission. You do you. Don't worry about anybody else. You do you. Redefine your values. Look at it and go, do I actually believe that? Is that something that I totally believe? Or did I adopt that belief from when I was younger and I really don't believe it anymore, but I keep saying that I believe it, but I really don't? Does that make sense? Question everything. Question yourself. Question your beliefs. Question, do I like that? Or did I just pick that up because my former boyfriend or girlfriend or best friend really liked to do that, so I did it? And now I just keep doing it, not because I like to do it, but because I've kind of convinced myself that I like to do it, but I really don't like to do it at all. Redefine yourself. Redefine your values. What are your values? Have you sat down and written out your values? So many of us don't do this because we're busy. We have too much going on. But when you sit down and you actually start writing out what you believe, all of a sudden you become stronger, more self-confident, you have more self-esteem, and you begin to use your voice in a productive way. 2, let wildness in. What does that mean? Go to nature. Nature will help you connect to you, and nature will help you connect to the Creator, because the Creator is everywhere. But when you have all this buzz of lights and electricity and the computer and the radio, and at home we've got the refrigerator and the dishwasher, and we've got TVs going, some radios going, it's loud, it's noise. Go to nature, let wildness in, get out there, find yourself.
Try new things.
Try new things. Maybe you didn't have a chance to try things. And you go out and you try something new and you're like, I really like that. That brought me so much happiness. But we get stuck in what we call our comfort zone. How many of you know what your comfort zone is? You know what your comfort zone is? We all get stuck there. Like, I really like my office right there. I like it. I like my office. It brings me comfort. Stick me in the mall, like we had to go last night, I thought I was going to just absolutely come out of my skin. I was like, first of all, there were so many people, and people would walk by and I'd be like, wow, he's angry. Whoa, she's sad. Wow. I was just like, I can't do it. Make it stop. Because that's what being empathetic is, right? It's about being able to feel other people's moods. But when you're in a mall with thousands of people, you feel schizophrenic.
Multiple personalities.
Yes, I felt Sybil coming on. Sybil was definitely right there. But the question that I have for you is, how many times do you take on other people's feelings? So I ask you to question that. So if you're questioning who I am, what do I like, what are my values, what are my beliefs, Also question, hey, I feel angry right now. Is that anger mine? Especially if you're living with someone. Husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, children, parents. Question, is that mine? And when you question it, you'll definitely feel yes or no. You'll be like, no, I'm just angry, but it's not really mine. Walk into the other room, and I bet you whoever is there is angry. Just question. Ask. Hear the voices. Oh, those voices in your head. Oh, listen. Listen to Sybil. The voices in your head is that still small voice that is trying to help you, is trying to help you live authentically. You know when you go to do something that you really don't want to do and you hear that voice just tell you you shouldn't be doing it, but you do it anyways? Do you understand? So listen, let your own intuition. The Creator gave it to you. The Creator gave you intuition for a reason. So that if you stepped out and you were a caveman and there was a dinosaur, you'd go, okay, there's a T-Rex outside. I don't think I want to go outside the cave right this second. That's intuition. Another form of intuition is you're in your office and your boss is very agitated and you're going to ask for a raise. Is that the right time to go in and ask?
Nope.
Listen to your intuition. If you go to do something and you get that nudge to not do it, listen. If you get a nudge to do something, listen. Children are great at that. They get a nudge to do something, they just do it. They don't think. They don't sit there and go, well, how's that going to affect me? And what's going to happen in the future? And what's the ripple effect of that? They just do it. It's because they're so in touch with their intuition. That's what they know. That's how they live. But as we get older, because we keep being told what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad, we watch TV and it's telling us constantly. Then we lose our own intuition and we take on what society wants us to do. Step 4, take the risk for the love of all that's good and right in the world. How many of you have thought about doing something and you didn't because you thought, oh, well, that might just tick off so-and-so? That might make mama mad, that might make daddy mad, that might make my husband mad, my girlfriend mad, that might make my neighbor mad. Take the risk. If you've always wanted to go skydiving, take the risk. Allow your spirit to soar, enjoy it, find the joy. Because every time you think about it, you're like, I really want to do that. But then you're like, Take the risk. Believe. Believe in yourself, number 1. First and foremost, how many of you believe in yourself, really? You don't have to raise your hand. And when I ask, do you believe in yourself, I want you to search. Do you truly believe in yourself? Do you believe that you can have anything that you want? You can be anything that you want? You can do anything that you want? Do you really, truly believe? Because without the belief, it's not going to happen. Do you believe you can live authentically? When? Do you believe you can live authentically? Me? When? Linda, you can also. But do you believe that you can live authentically? Do you believe that you can do it?
I will try.
But try gives your brain a way out. If you say, I will do, this is why when you're taking the self-help, you know, John Maxwell, Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, Zig Ziglar, they always say, if you use words like try, then it gives your brain a way to say, oh, well, I tried, but it didn't work out. But if you say, I will do, I am this, I am confident, I am self-assured, especially females have a problem, I am worthy. Males have a real issue with providing and being the strong warrior. I am strong. We look at what society says, and what does society look at? When you think of a warrior, what does society show us as a warrior?
Working class men. Working class men.
A warrior. A warrior is soft and strong all at the same time. And this is where our males have gotten, because anybody heard this? You gonna cry? I'll give you something to cry about, boy.
Similar.
That's real nice.
Very similar.
Very similar, right?
Not the southern way, but very similar.
How many of you as a woman heard that? You gonna cry? I'll give you something to cry about. My daddy tore my rear end up with 3 hickories because I started crying. And he tore me up. And I learned very quickly that it was okay to be angry, but not okay to be sad and crying. Don't you think that if more of us allowed our emotions to feel our emotions and just to let them flow, we'd be better? How many of you wish you could do that? Like you really wish. I wish I could cry. Scout, I love her. She can cry at a drop of a hat. I mean, she's a water sign. It just comes. It just comes. And I always say, I really wish I could cry. But I can get angry in a skinny second.
You're,
Skinny second.
you're
I
fired.
can get angry. Why? Because as a kid, I was told basically it was okay to be angry, but it wasn't okay to cry. So I can cry for other people. I cry at movies. If you go to Selma with me, I'm going to bawl. I'm going to cry. I cry at movies. I cry for other people all the time. But to cry for me, I don't. It's very difficult for me to cry for me. When I'm hurting, it's hard for that. So how many of you would love it to just be able to feel your emotions and be authentic in it? I'm angry. I'm mad. I'm going to be mad right now, and then I'm going to let it go. And I'm going to go back to my happy place. But we get spiritual and we start thinking, what? I can't be angry. Spiritual people aren't angry.
I was going to say something. Kids that are able to express themselves, like are upset or sad, and then able to snap back out of it and be happy again, get labeled bipolar. Because I definitely was. In elementary school, my parents thought I was bipolar just because when things made me upset, I expressed myself, how I felt. But afterwards, I was always better. And I was like, okay, I'm done now. But
that's a kid. Then every kid's bipolar.
yeah.
How many of you have had children in your life in some form? They get mad. They're on their floor, being ah! And the next second they're up and playing with their friend and they're giggling and laughing.
Mhm.
I say we want to be more childlike. I bet you with the kids they do. I bet you, Brianna, I can't see you getting angry, but I'm sure you do sometimes. But I bet you get happy real quick too, don't you? She's like, mm-hmm. So, use your body and love who and what you are. Now, that doesn't mean use your body. That means use your body physically. You are happier when you're doing physical movement of some sort. I don't care if it's walking 30 to 45 minutes a day, yoga, tai chi, qigong, karate, bike riding, something to use your physical body. If you want your physical body to be the antenna to living fully authentically, if your antenna has all these blockages physically, knots, because you haven't been in movement, you've been stagnant, how are you supposed to raise that vibration? You have to move energy through. Emotion is energy in motion. Does that make sense? So if you have energy in motion, I get angry and I stuff it all down, and then I don't go work out or do anything to get some of that out. Guess where it stays? Stuck in my vibratory frequency and my physical frequency and my spiritual frequency. It's all in there. Use your body. Love your body. Love your body. I hear people say all the time, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not toned enough, I'm not buff enough, I'm not strong enough, my muscles aren't defined enough. What? I love this song. And if you have children, you've heard it. I'm all about the bass, about the bass. And the guy, he's all about that bass, about that bass. But what it says is you are perfect from your head to your toes. That Photoshop stuff you see out there, oh, please make it stop. Listen to the words of that song. It's a very, very powerful song. You are perfect from your head to your toes. You don't need to be a certain size. You don't need to look a certain way. You are perfect the way the Creator made you. How many of you, and you don't have to raise your hand, believe in a higher source? Whatever you call it. When you say, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not this enough, and I'm not that enough, do you want to know what you're saying to that source? You made a mistake. Now, I don't know about any of you. I'm just not evolved to the point where I have that much brazen to stand up and tell Creator, you made a mistake. I may not particularly like something about myself, then I can try to change it. I may not like the fact that I get angry. So I can work on changing that. Use your body. Love who and what you are. Do you know how many people would change if they just loved who they were? Would you change? If you fully 100% loved everything about yourself, would it make a difference? Would it change something about you? I can tell you one thing it would change: your confidence and your esteem. Wouldn't it? It would. If you loved everything about yourself. So I invite you, love yourself fully, completely, authentically. It doesn't matter if anybody else loves you. It matters if you love you. Because when you love you, you tell God He did something right and you appreciate it. And there's nothing stronger than that. And then guess what? More of that happens. When you look and you say, I love the fact that I am X. More of that happens. I love the fact that I am this. Guess what? More of that happens. Step 7, defy your genetics. Now, what does that mean? Exactly. Defy your genetics.
I'm really 5'9".
Cindy's like, I'm really 5'9", I'm tall, my hair's flowing. Defy your genetics. A lot of us are carrying on what we call family lineage karma. Defy your genetics. If you came from abusive relationships, like your mama's mama had abuse, your mama had abuse, you've had abuse, defy it. You can change that. People are like, oh, it's just in my genes. Did you know you can actually change your DNA structure? Science now says you can. Through meditation and through love, you can completely change your vibratory frequency and you can change your DNA structure. Those 12 strands, if they don't know what they're doing yet, they're doing something. And you can activate those. Defy your genetics. And what I mean by that is some people may believe, some of us believe that we pick our parents before we get here. We pick who our parents are going to be so that we can have the experience that we want to have. And others of us may believe that we don't pick our parents. Okay. On some level, you picked your parents. All right? Somewhere, you picked them. Somehow, some way, you picked your parents. Let's say your dad is an alcoholic and your mom's a drug addict. Does that mean you have to be that? Let's say your mom is very condescending and degrading. Do you have to be that? Defy your genetics. Don't use them as an excuse. And that's when you will start living completely authentically. Step 8, integrate into wholeness. And what does that mean? Even the parts of you want to keep hidden from yourself. Those parts of you that maybe you don't think are that great. You know the parts of you that we hide. You know the parts of you that you didn't show when you went out on your first couple of dates with somebody. Those parts that you kind of kept hidden. You got to integrate it all. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We all do it. We put our best foot forward, and we may not do certain things that we typically do. Or how many of you got married and all of a sudden you found out that the other person did something and you're like, what is that? I don't know about that. We all do it. But to live authentically, you have to integrate it all, don't you, Bob? The good, the bad, and the ugly. And I ask that you not have judgment on it. it served you for a reason. If you need to let something go, give thanks for it. Give thanks for the lessons you learned from it, and let it go. So that's living in wholeness. Paint a spectrum of love for all. When you judge someone else, you judge yourself. Did you guys know that? How many of you, when you were younger, you judged somebody for doing something, and then as you got older, you might have done the same thing? How do you think that your consciousness forgot that you passed that judgment on that person? No, your consciousness remembered passing judgment on that person, and now it's passing judgment on you. And that is the worst thing that can happen, is for you to judge yourself. Every time you judge somebody else, you are judging you. You're saying, now I have to live to that expectation. No matter what happens in my life, I can't do that because I just said that was X. It was bad, it was horrible, it was whatever. So if we can truly live without judgment, we can accept all of ourselves. We can also accept all of other people. The reason why soul medicine is here, you guys, is because of you. The Creator asked me to do it. I was like, are you sure? I'm not so sure about that. We're in Canton, Georgia. Oh, I'm not so sure that this is going to be okay. I mean, seriously, how many of you don't tell everybody in your life exactly what you believe? How many of you don't? You don't. You don't tell everybody in your life what you believe, because casting your pearl in front of swine, and then you're told some not so nice things. But if we just remember, united we stand, and divided we fall. You take a twig and it's easily broken. You take a bundle of twigs, you can't break them. We're all saying the same thing. I don't care what belief system you're in, whether you call it God or Allah or Buddha. We're all seeking and searching because it's in our DNA to serve a higher source. We all want to serve. We're all doing it. Take the time to do nothing. How many of you do that? Honestly, yeah, very few. So many fewness, there's a fewness. I just made so many fewness.
That's a new word.
That's new words. I'm going to put those in the dictionary. You do nothing. How many of you feel guilty when you do nothing? Go ahead, raise your hand if you feel guilty for doing nothing. If you stay in the bed and you sleep too long, you feel guilty because you're like, I got to do this, I got to do that, da, da, da. Do nothing. In that nothingness, you begin to find you. In doing nothing, you find yourself. You're doing the most amount of work because you're sitting there in contemplation. So do nothing. I invite you. You're going to go home and you're going to be like, honey, I'm not doing anything today. I was told to do nothing. Seek connection versus perfection. Seek connection versus perfection. And what does that mean? Somebody give me an example. What do you think that means?
Connect with the Creator. Don't be so judgmental on yourself.
How many of you, and some of you are artists and musicians, this is difficult. How many of you are a bit of perfectionist? You can admit it. I admit. Hi, my name is Selena. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I am. I am a bit of a perfectionist. But if we quit seeking to, when we're a perfectionist, what are we doing? What are we doing when we're being a perfectionist? Are we judging? We're judging, are we not?
Oh, yeah.
We're judging in a big way. So how about we seek connection instead of perfection? In the connection, it will be perfect. Because you're no longer passing judgment.
The connection is like the process. So the goals are set, but they're not set in stone. And as you go through the process, you can keep developing them further. That's what we found in solutions, resolutions, and they keep going higher and higher. And I just realized one of my resolutions, we spell it S-O-U-L in resolution, is I trust my judgment and I'm confident. I'm sitting here and I'm saying, wait a second, I trust my choices, and I'm confident. Am I going to make mistakes? Of course. So then I get more comfortable with me.
That's beautiful. How many of you trust yourself and the decisions you make? You trust the decisions you make. So many of us don't. It's actually one of the pivotal reasons why I started the psychic development course. Because there were so many people that did not trust that they could make decisions that were appropriate.
Yeah, and I used to get hung up on that because I tend to be obsessive compulsive. And so I'd be sitting there and, God, it's not perfect, and, you know, you're all screwed up. Let's put it that way.
But we're all, can I join the boat with you? We're
Sure.
all misfits.
Yeah.
All of us are misfits.
Of course.
How many of you know you're a misfit? If you don't think you're a misfit, then have you been out there? I'm just asking. Have you been out there? You're a misfit. You think differently. You're acting differently, and you're being different than the masses. So guess what? We're all in the boat with you. And I love it. I love that. Yes, Linda.
As part of perfection, my father, may he rest in peace, he used to say, it's okay to be number two. Because I always wanted to strive for being the best. He said, it's okay to be number two. And meaning that you'll be happier.
I remember being in college, and I was summa cum laude. I was so smart. Do you know I about died the first B I made? It was my senior year in college, and I made a B. But do you know the pressure that I had for 3 years to keep that summa cum laude? Summa, I gotta make A's and everything. And it gives you freedom, doesn't it? To say, you know what, if you do your best, the best is all you can do. Give yourself that permission. And give yourself the permission to know you have all that you need to be you. You have all that you need to be you. How many of you know that? You have all that you need to be you. You don't need to go out and buy anything to be you. You don't need to go out and do anything to be you. You have it all. Everything you need to be you. So if you're wanting to live authentically, truly, I would invite you to work on those 12 steps. And just bring it into your mind's eye. Ask yourself to bring it to your attention when you're being inauthentic. And when we say the prayer, I'm going to ask for that, for you and for me, to come to my attention when I'm being inauthentic with myself. Bring it to my attention when I say something that's less than the truth. Yes, sir.
Just remembered, Oprah had said one time that she was such a people pleaser. She was always doing things for people because she was afraid that they wouldn't like her. And I remember her saying that she started getting to a point to where she would ask herself, what are my intentions? Because you do things for reasons. You do things to feed yourself in some manner. And you ask yourself, what are my intentions behind this? Am I doing this because I want this person to like me? Or am I doing this because it's actually something that I really want to be doing myself? So that's the door that I try to open before I try, do something. I want to make sure that that's something, is it something that, are my intentions right?
Because it's all about your intentions, isn't it? Truly, it's all about your intentions. Everything we do is about our intentions. Sheila, you can say something that would hurt somebody's feelings, but if you said it with the right heart and the right intention, that person receives it in a good way. It's all about your intention, right? It's all about your intention. Now, if I say something to someone and I'm doing it out of a good way, like I see them doing something that's going to cause pain for them and I'm trying to help them and they don't receive it, my responsibility ends by me saying something. Them receiving that in a good or not good way, that's theirs. That's their stuff. But for me to live authentically, if I saw someone getting ready to walk across that road and all this traffic was coming, how many of you would try to stop them? Now, they want to go across the road, and they want to go across right now. But you can see this, it's going to cause pain, hurt, death, maybe. So you're going to do something to intervene. When you aren't authentic, you're killing little parts of you. You're dying little by little on the inside. So I just ask, be authentic, truly authentic. Lao Tzu says, if you want to awaken all of humanity, then awaken all of yourself. If you want to eliminate the suffering in the world, then eliminate all that is dark and negative in yourself. Truly, the greatest gift you have to give is that of your own self-transformation. So I give you permission to be selfish and to focus on you, especially over the next several weeks until you really you question everything in your life and you know that you are living authentically, fully, and completely. I enjoy this. It says, knowing others is wisdom, but knowing yourself is enlightenment. Will you turn off the lights for me? Because I'm going to read you something, and I want you to read it to yourself, and I want to, before we pray, I'm going to ask that you begin to accept this about you. Admit it. Admit it. You aren't like them. You're not even close. You may occasionally dress yourself up as one of them, watch the same mindless television shows as they do, maybe even eat the same fast food sometimes. But it seems that the more you try to fit in, the more you feel like an outsider, watching the normal people as they go about their everyday existences. For every time you say club passwords like, have a nice day, weather's awful, good AA, you yearn inside to say forbidden things like, tell me something that makes you cry. Or, what do you think deja vu is for? Face it, you even want to talk to that girl in the elevator. But what if the girl in the elevator and the balding man who walks past your cubicle at work are thinking the exact same thing? Who knows what you might learn from taking a chance on a conversation with a stranger? Everyone carries a piece of the puzzle. Nobody comes into your life by mere coincidence. Trust your instincts. Do the unexpected. Find the others. This was by Tom Leary. And he wrote this, and it really spoke to me.
Tom Blair?
Mm-hmm.
The guy that writes those funny songs, Tom Blair?
No, L-E-A-R-Y.
Oh, Tom Leary.
Timothy Leary?
Timothy Leary.
Timothy Leary.
I called him Tom, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Love him.
Yeah.
Love what he did. Love what he does. And love this. Find the others. When we invite you to invite people here, it's not because we want to be some ginormous, everybody knows who we are. We want to find the others. They're out there. How many of you, before you found this place, thought you were alone? I've heard it over and over and over. I thought I was the only one that believed things like this. I thought I was alone. I thought that it was only me and like my girlfriend. Me and one other person. There are plenty of people, especially now, that are questioning. Pope Francis has said some things that are really making people question. I love that man. I don't love everything about him, but I love a lot. I love a lot about him. He is shaking it up. I'm asking you to shake it up.
You know, I was thinking as you were describing some of these things, reading, Dr. Luigi, I forget his name exactly, but they called him the love doctor. And he would get on an elevator and he'd say hello to people, and they say, do I know you? And he'd say, no, but you have an opportunity to. And
Leo Biscaglia.
Biscaglia, yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. And
See, she's got the name, she's got the name.
yeah,
We'll get it right.
yeah. And you know how many times I get on an elevator and I'm silent.
How many of us do that? You get on an elevator, it's got other people, you turn, you face the door
Yeah.
and speak. You don't. And you're like,
Wow. So true.
They're scared.
when I say hello, and I do, sometimes people don't receive it well, for whatever reason, but I always, hello. I always do. I always do. And
But
sometimes
isn't
I
it
have
the
incredible
end?
experiences too.
But isn't it, your end is you saying hello, how they receive it is their
Exactly,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if we don't say hello, and we don't say, what makes you cry? And what do you think DJFU is for? And we just go, hi, how are you doing? I love this. Hi, how are you doing? I just go, why did you even ask?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not stopping to hear if I'm doing okay. Sometimes I go, actually, I'm dying, just to see if they turn around, because I just
Oh,
want to
that's
see.
nice.
You know?
Wonderful.
Because I'm like, you ask, but we're so caught up in the superficialities of it all. So I ask you, shake it up.
Shake it
Find
up.
the others. Shake it up.
Shake it.
In my words that I have used many times, let your freaky flag fly. And live truly and fully, authentically in who you are. Because you're an amazing person. You're powerful. You have compassion. You're love. You're a prayer warrior. You're a meditating guru. You are an amazing individual. Wake up and see it. So if you'll open your palms. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, just allow everything that we've talked about today. Allow it to resonate with you. See what resonates and what maybe doesn't. See where you can make the changes and live a more full and authentic self. And as you breathe in, keep your breath full and then empty as you relax and you allow everything that we've been talking about today to begin to integrate into your being, into who you are. And as you breathe, allow gratitude and love of yourself. You are an amazing child of the Creator. You are powerful. You are loved. You are perfect exactly the way you are. The Creator made you the size you are because you are special. And there are no two of you. The power that flows through you is more abundant than anything you can imagine. And as you breathe, receive that. Allow that to flow to you. Allow yourself to accept who you are fully and see the immense amount of beauty that is you. Creator, Great Spirit, Kashala, Mahio. We lift our voices together as a community, and we ask that all the messages that came through today, the messages of love, the messages of being fully authentic, we ask to receive it. In Great Spirit, we ask you, whenever we're sidestepping who we are, when we're belittling, not using our voice in a positive way, and not living our true authentic being, we ask that our consciousness bring it into the forefront so that we see where we can live more fully and more connected. Creator, we know that as we walk out these doors and we're surrounded by so many of our loved ones, we're surrounded by strangers, we're also surrounded always in your care. We ask that spark of you that is in us be ignited, and that when we truly live fully, completely, authentically, that our connection with you strengthens, and we become more confident, more self-assured. And Great Spirit, we ask that as we allow this love and this gratitude flow to us from you, that we build it and we allow it to overflow and wash through us. The love that's unconditional and pure. It flows in our veins and in our energetic components. We build this love up. We send this love out through the waters, through the rivers and the oceans, through the waters that are in us. We send it out through the air. We send it to the four corners of the earth and out into the galaxies. That people may begin to awaken to the power that lies within each one of us to change this world in a good way, in a profound way. We must first change ourselves and be true to who we are, recognizing every part of ourselves and giving thanks. We send it out to the leaders and ask that their decisions be rooted in love and in humanity. In Great Spirit, we send it out to all of our communities and to our loved ones. May they receive healing and blessings. Until we meet again, we ask that our footsteps be in sync with each other and authenticity. As we ask, so it shall be. Amen. Oh. Ho!